With Venus retrograde all month and Mercury slowing down, getting ready to retrograde at the end of the month, August is the time of a major rewind. We are sorting through our complex feelings, addressing relationship karma, and asking big questions about the future. Let's take a closer look and break down the most important transits for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I highly appreciate that, and it encourages YouTube to push my video to the front of the line. So thank you so much for that. If you'd like to work with me, you can book a reading at the link down below. Additionally, I offer horoscope subscriptions, so if you'd like to know what these transits and many more have in store for you, you can become a subscriber on my website. I send out horoscopes in an email format at the beginning of every month, usually by the 2nd of the month. So it's a very unique opportunity to have a more personal relationship with me. Before we dive in, I also want to mention that not only I work with astrology, I collaborate with astrology in order to create helpful tools for you. So with Venus retrograde, I highly recommend my Venusian candles and oils, specifically Venus, this one, Venus in Libra, Moonlit Trinity, and Venus Cazimi. All of these were created when Venus was empowered, strong, direct, and it has the power to aid your relationships, to smooth out any conflicts and bring more harmony and peace. And with Mercury getting ready to go retrograde, I have Mercury in Virgo and Mercury in Gemini candles that can be very helpful for your mind, for clarity, for problem solving, and avoiding the more glitchy times of the retrograde. So July was emotional with a capital E. If you felt it, please let me know down below. I definitely felt it. Cancer season always has that potential to open up the floodgates, to make us deal with our feels and not avoid them. Cancer is the sign of nurturing and family and motherhood, so we could have potentially dealt with some family karma, childhood wounds, addressed our insecurities, right? Or at least looked at them closely, hopefully. It may have introduced, July may have brought some relationship tensions into your life. In the beginning of the month, we had Venus squaring Uranus. Venus square Uranus is coming back in the middle of August this time around, but relationship shakeups, relationship questions could have been on your mind. And they, of course, continue all throughout August with Venus being retrograde the entire month. So get ready for more emotions, get ready for more relationship revision. And like I also mentioned in the intro to this video, Mercury is also going retrograde at the end of the month. So for a brief period between August 23rd and September 3rd, they will be both retrograde at the same time. So check out Anastasia's candle selection for your needs. And if you need advice in terms of which one to pick, you can also let me know down below, and I'd be happy to advise. So the way I do these videos is I'm gonna look at the month in general and kind of break down all of the big transits, and then we will dive in sign by sign, looking at the most important transits. Here we go. So the month opens up with a full moon in 9 degrees Aquarius. And this full moon is a completion of a cycle started on January 21st this year with the new moon in Aquarius. So what was happening in your life in late January, because it's likely coming full circle right now. At the same time as the full moon is happening, Saturn, the ruler of the full moon, is opposing Mercury. And Saturn is currently in Pisces, forcing us to take a look at our boundaries, at our emotions, at our protocols around self-care, opposing Mercury, which is very rational, which is very factually oriented. So there might be, this full moon to me reads as very serious, very heavy, perhaps a need to talk about important topics, to address difficulties. There's that heavy rational vibe to it, definitely having to address the mind versus the heart, right? And maybe make important decisions that affect your plans or affect your dynamics. Full moon in Aquarius is always the mind of Aquarius versus the heart of Leo, so needing to balance the two is likely, and needing to compromise is likely. And then if you're more willing to compromise and put your ego aside for a moment, right? Because we are in Leo season, Venus is in Leo, the pride and the desire for attention and visibility and recognition can be like really, really strong right now, because we want to be seen, we want to be appreciated, we want to be acknowledged, right? But the full moon in Aquarius is a little bit of like, okay, calm down, think about the good of all, think about the good of the collective. And if you're willing to do that, you can actually get pretty good results with this full moon, because simultaneously on August 1st, we also have Mars trining Jupiter. So it could be a beautiful time for taking risks, for kind of doing business negotiations, wherever you need to focus on other people. With the full moon in Aquarius can be very successful right now. On August 6th, the sun in Leo will square Jupiter in Taurus. And that has like optimistic, confident, exciting energy. But whenever there's a square to Jupiter, it's the thing of there can be too much of a good thing. So while you are confident and excited and sort of looking forward to new beginnings, there's also a danger of overdoing things, overindulging, pushing yourself too far, promising things that you perhaps cannot deliver. So practice moderation, do not overspend, do not party too hard, right? Like sort of be steady and pursue one thing at a time, because if you don't do that, if you lean too heavily into the other side of just like partying and having fun and taking on too many things, it will catch up with you potentially 3 days later, because on August 9th, we have Venus squaring Uranus, which is a major time of relationship tests. Uranus is like a lightning striking in the middle of the dark field, and you suddenly see what's not working in a relationship, what demands attention, what needs to be transformed. So the sun square Jupiter on August 6th can have a bit of that devil may care attitude, but then later on, as Venus squares Uranus, you will have to address it. So could be a lovely opportunity to experiment in love and in creative self-expression, but watch out for the challenges in relationships. Mercury also trines Jupiter on August 9th, which could be good news, potentially receiving some kind of opportunities, thinking about the future. It's a great time to go on a trip or plan a trip. It's a great time for socializing and thinking about the future, and perhaps that breakthrough energy of Venus squaring Uranus can be actually very helpful for you at this time. I love August 13th. We have Venus conjoining the Sun, Venus Cazimi. Funny enough, last year when we had Venus Cazimi, I created these candles. That's why they're called Venus Cazimi. But this was Venus in Libra conjunct the Sun. So even stronger, because it was an empowered Venus in the sign it rules. But still, August 13th has beautiful, beautiful vibes. Venus is usually when the planet is really close to the Sun, within like 10 degrees, let's say, sometimes 7, 8, depends on how you look at it. It is weakened because it is overpowered by the Sun. Sun is so bright, it's impossible to see this planet when it's right next to the Sun, right? So the function of the planet becomes secondary to the nature of the Sun. When Venus is conjunct the Sun or in the heart of the Sun, it is empowered. It is considered to be held by the Sun and sort of supported and encouraged, right? So Venus Cazimi can be a moment of inspiration, understanding. We are in this challenging romantic period, but then we get Venus Cazimi in the middle of the month, and perhaps you see the charm, you see the soul of your partner, you see the qualities that you once found so attractive in them, and you are reminded and transported into the past, into that moment of when you first fall in love, when you get those butterflies. So it could be a true connection, like a soulful, deep, sexual or spiritual or both, right? It could also be the time of creative inspiration, could be the time of conception of something beautiful in love, art, a baby, stuff like that. August 15th, we have the Sun squaring Uranus. And then the day after, we have a new moon in Leo in a square to Uranus. And so the Sun square Uranus is a bit dramatic, right? There is a sense of disruption. There's a sense of shakeups. Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, so it's responsible for stability. And it's not that pleasant when you have to go through shakeups in the sector of stability. Taurus rules your money, your shelter, your home, resources, food. So the new moon in Leo in a square to Uranus could be a sign that something is shaken up in your life. It could be in your relationships, right? We are talking a lot about relationships. I'm a Libra rising, but also it's Venus retrograde. But there could be shakeups in relationships, shakeups at your job, shakeups in your home that then encourage you to step up. The new moon is in Leo. The new moon is calling you to be a leader, to shine your light, to bring your warmth to the parts of your life or to the parts of the world that are in need of it. So I see this as like opportunities to lead, get respect, become more visible, that come out of crises. So good luck to all of us. Hopefully it's nothing dramatic. Also on August 6th, 16th, we have Mars trining Uranus. So there's a supportive energy, right? There is a square to Uranus, but there's also a trine to Uranus. So you have the drive and desire and the energy to handle the challenging events and move past them, move forward. August 22nd, we have Venus squaring Jupiter. Previously, we had this transit on June 11th, so it's a return of that. Jupiter wants to empower. Jupiter wants to bring answers and coherence. So Venus in a square to Jupiter can actually be helpful for problem solving and compromise and getting along. But at the same time, it's very much, you can take on too many things. You can overindulge, you can overdo it. You may also actually be given opportunities that you say yes to, but they're not right for you. Similarly in relationships, right? This is very much, you are dating someone, but you see another person, and because Venus Jupiter is just so like have fun energy, it's more likely that you will stray or make the right choice. And then the same day we also have Mars opposite Neptune, which is even more like symbolic of being deceived or being misguided, being tired, feeling insecure. So really be careful around August 22nd, give it a couple of days before, a couple of days after, of following unhealthy impulses and trying to comfort yourself by doing wrong choices and hurting people in your life, right? So desires are strong, judgment is not so good. That's my summary. August 23rd is big. Sun enters Virgo. We become a lot more driven to take care of our bodies, take care of our minds, more routine driven, more focused on work, more focused on spending time in nature, right? It's very kind of hardworking time. At the same time, Mercury also stations retrograde. So while we are driven to figure out the details of our life and figure out the routines and how we can better serve ourselves, we're also at a place of uncertainty. We're also at a place of rethinking, redoing, re-editing. You know the drill at this point. Mercury retrograde is the time to slow down. It's the cosmic red light where you're meant to sit down and think of where you're going to next. So you're not just jumping on the next train that comes. August 24th, Mars trines Pluto. Really lovely for focus, really lovely for ambition and asserting yourself and presenting yourself with confidence and charm, but not in an aggressive way, because Mars in a square to Pluto can feel like you're overpowering or you're too strong, you're coming on too strong, and other people are almost intimidated by you. Mars in a trine to Pluto is this excited, focused, non-threatening energy. So lovely time to start new projects, present new ideas, and explore your sexuality, because Mars trine Pluto can also be a very passionate time. August 27th is tense as the Sun opposes Saturn. So we did have the Sun opposite Neptune, right? Just a couple of days before. We had Mars opposite Neptune on August 22nd. So there was a sense of uncertainty, low energy, poor judgment, right? So on August 27th, Sun opposes Saturn. And the Sun is your ego, the Sun is your desires, it's your consciousness. When it opposes Saturn, which is a middle point in the Saturn retrograde cycle, it's a standoff between the Sun and things you want to achieve, and Saturn, which is realism, which is truth. And so there's difficulty. There might be a blockage you're facing, like a roadblock. Maybe you're dealing with rejection. Maybe you're dealing with something is slowing you down. Something is messing with your flow. So feeling low, feeling depressed is likely. It's not a good time to push harder. It is a good time to slow down and take a step back. So beware of that. Beware of like low feeling, depressing feeling, and remember that it's going to pass. Mars also enters Libra on August 27th until October 12th. Mars in Libra is very much about cooperation. It's about getting along with others. We may struggle to fight with people. We sort of choose to be diplomats and avoid fighting, but that sometimes results in passive aggression. Passive aggressiveness. Basically, just be mindful of avoiding conflicts, trying to keep peace, but forsaking the truth. Instead, try to balance it with honesty. Try to be honest and express frustrations as they come versus letting them build, or versus pretending like everything is fine. August 28th, Uranus goes retrograde until January 27th. When Uranus is direct, we can be making visible changes to our life. They're more kind of clear. When Uranus is retrograde, instead of seeking for outside change, we start to look within. We start to ask what needs to be transformed internally, what kind of psychological matters need attention, what kind of spiritual matters, what kind of intellectual matters. Even like working on intellectual projects behind the scenes could be more important right now. And finally, on August 30th, we have a full moon in 7 degrees Pisces. So this month we have 2 full moons, not just 1, but 2. And this full moon happens still close to Saturn, right? We just had Sun opposite Saturn on the 27th, and now we have the full moon conjunct Saturn. So while we're figuring out with the Sun opposite Saturn, while we're dealing with this roadblock or frustration or uncertainty, we also get the full moon that is all about looking at your dreams and looking at your fantasies, and perhaps transforming, releasing, rethinking something, and being more realistic about your goals and being more realistic about your dreams. And as a result, either you accept the more realistic outcome, or maybe you release the dream and you ground yourself more. So this is the summary of the month. Like I mentioned, if you'd like a personal horoscope to know what every single one of these transits, all of the main transits I'm going to say, have in store for you, you can become a subscriber on my website and order a personal monthly subscription. Now let's take a look at the 12 rising signs and talk about your months of August. If you are an Aries rising, the Sun is in Leo, your 5th house, until August 23rd. And Venus is in Leo the entire month, retrograde. So there's a lot of focus on romance, on creativity, on matters related to children. But you are looking for value. You are being more thoughtful. You maybe are not dating the same way or not feeling as inspired as you were in the past. There might be some romantic tensions and difficulties, a lack of spark, right? So this could be a lovely period to rethink your relationships, to look back at what once brought you joy and find ways to bring more joy and more inspiration in your life. Do not get discouraged if the answers do not come immediately. It is the retrograde phase. It's supposed to be confusing. There's a lot of tension this month between Leo planets, the Sun and Venus in your 5th house, and Taurus planets, Jupiter and Uranus in your 2nd house. So perhaps some of your lack of inspiration or relationship confusion is connected to financial difficulties. Maybe you are feeling like you would rather move to a different city, but you don't have enough resources, or you feel like your partner is not valuing everything you're putting into a relationship. So you may have to address some conflicts and tensions related to money, values, and the ways you treat yourself or what you think about yourself. I think 2nd house ruling self-worth, looking at Venus retrograding, it's very much value yourself, look within, and then the rest will follow. Mercury and Mars are in Virgo all month. This is your 6th house. So Mars actually leaves Virgo on the 27th, but until then, most of the month, there's a lot of focus on your 6th house. And you're driven to take care of your health. You may have more energy to handle work, conflicts, or work matters. Maybe you are hustling more and putting yourself in front of people. Maybe you're spending more time getting together with colleagues and handling health-related issues, right? There is Mars in the 6th is the time to exercise, to focus on your diet, and to deal with all of these kind of mundane matters. You do have more energy. At the same time, there's a lot of tension between Mars and Virgo and Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house. So 6 versus 12. 6 is all the work you're trying to do, all the desires you have to better your health, and 12th house is your bad habits, your self-defeating tendencies. So needing to be mindful, needing to go slow and release bad people who are like bad for you because they drag you down and they have maybe bad habits that you are following. There may be a need to release bad habits of yourself, of your own, and maybe address some past wounds and address things that are outside of your control and sort of be patient with them, because sometimes you may have a plan to go for a 3-mile run, but your parent suddenly needs you, and that's okay. The month begins on August 1st. We have a full moon in Aquarius. This is your 11th house. So changes to group projects, completion of group projects, changes to your friendships. What's interesting is the full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 12th house in opposition to Mercury in the 6th. So once again, we have this tension between the things you're trying to accomplish, the desires you have for a better lifestyle, and mental health, self-defeating tendencies, bad habits, and the changes happening in your house of friendships and networks and social groups you belong in. So I wonder if as you're choosing better health and as you're building better life for yourself, you may potentially need to release some friendships or rethink some of your commitments, which ones are helpful and which ones are draining. It might be a really lovely opportunity to clear your social schedule. Watch out for a tendency to overspend and overindulge on August 6th as the Sun in the 5th house squares Jupiter in your 2nd house. Very much generous, let's go party, let's do this, let's have fun. And then relationship drama can come out of it, or relationship shakeups can be a result of it on August 9th. A couple of days before, a couple of days after, as Venus squares Uranus. So you may deal with romantic drama because of money. You may deal with issues connected to children. Maybe you and your partner disagree about having kids or find yourself on different sides of an argument. you may be examining your own spending habits or your partner's spending habits and looking at your definitely unhealthy tendency, but also, like if you tend to party too hard or if you tend to gamble your money away, those kind of things can be very important right now. And we already had Venus in a square to Uranus in early July 2nd. Was there any drama connected to money and values, any romantic tensions around that time? Let me know down below and we can figure it out. But yeah, be aware, because there's definitely a danger of kind of battling it out with others. August 13th is a beautiful moment as Venus conjoins the Sun. There is Cazimi, which is the moment of unity and understanding and perhaps mending conflicts and coming together. Fifth house deals with children, so it could also be connected to conception, conceiving a child, feeling inspired creatively, and definitely that moment of unity with your partner or inspiration and unity with the projects you're pursuing. August 15th, 16th, we have a new moon, specifically on the 16th, but it's building a little bit as the Sun squares Uranus. So on the 16th, we have a new moon in your 5th house and a square to Uranus in the 2nd house. So new moon in the 5th is new relationships, new dynamics, new changes connected to children, new creative projects, and a chance to express yourself, a chance to lead, a chance to be in charge. But the square to Uranus is a bit disruptive. It means that these opportunities can either shake your finances or they can come out of the sudden disruptive events connected to finances. So some examples could be you get pregnant and you need to buy a bigger home, or you need to renovate your home. Maybe you're starting a creative project and requires a lot of money, and so now your finances are going through ups and downs. Maybe your disagreement with your partner about resources causes you to look at money differently and approach finances differently. So definitely a lot of tensions, but also like breakthroughs in love, breakthroughs with children, breakthroughs in creative perception and creative projects connected to a change in values and resources. Some kind of light bulb goes off and now you see things differently. August 22nd can be a bit rough. Mars in the 6th house opposes Neptune in the 12th. So you may be drawn to have fun. Venus also squares Jupiter the same day, but feel more likely to overindulge and feel low and feel tired. And to me, this reads as your insecurities and your bad habits catch up with you. They're definitely kind of closing in, right? And shortly after that, the Sun enters Virgo, Mercury goes retrograde on August 23rd. So it's time to rethink your health. It's time to rethink how you take care of yourself. And then on August 27th, we have, now it's the Sun opposes Saturn. Once again, 6th house versus 12th house. And you are making tough decisions about therapy, starting therapy perhaps, about your bad habits, about your health, about your self-defeating patterns. It might be the time to release something, especially since on August 30th we get a full moon in Pisces in your 12th house. So you're leaning more into spirituality, you're being more aware of your negative tendencies and getting a chance to close a chapter of being harsh and critical of yourself, or having more fun than stability in life, and you're balancing these negative tendencies with practical, grounded ways of taking care of yourself. And if you'd like a more personal horoscope that describes exactly what's going to happen in your life and addresses all of these transits plus more for you personally, you can become a subscriber on my website and order a monthly horoscope subscription, which I send you horoscopes before the 2nd of every month. breaking down what's ahead, giving helpful advice, and giving tips. If you are a Taurus rising, the sun stays in Leo, your 4th house of home and family, until August 23rd, and Venus is retrograding in Leo the entire month. So there's a lot of focus on your living situation, whether you feel happy and satisfied with where you are. There might be a time to look at your family dynamics and ask whether your family appreciates you the way you feel like you need to be or want to be appreciated, as well as looking at your childhood and kind of family karma and questioning how has your past influenced your present. There's a lot of tension between Leo planets in your 4th house and Taurus planets, Jupiter and Uranus in your 1st house. So some kind of tension between the past and your living situation and your personal goals and dreams for the future. So you really need to balance where you're going with what is happening in the home and in your private sector. Mercury and Mars are in Virgo pretty much the entire month, and this is your 5th house. So as you're dealing with home, family, living situation, you're also taking action in terms of dating, in terms of spending time with children, connecting with children, and expressing yourself creatively. The sun goes into Virgo on August 23rd, and Mercury goes retrograde on the same day. So that's a sign that you may be rethinking your creative process. Maybe you're struggling to find inspiration. Maybe you're having to negotiate let's say if you're working on a project with somebody else. Mercury retrograde in the 5th house could be the time when you're trying to figure out the best way to work together. The entire time, planets in Virgo are opposing Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. So the pressure is connected to group projects, your responsibility to the collective, your dreams and things you are achieving in the outside world can be a bit of a buzzkill to the exciting things that you're choosing to pursue. So try to be balanced and avoid just working the whole time, right? Like make sure you're having a good balance of fun and creativity. The month opens up with a full moon in Aquarius. This is your 10th house on August 1st, suggesting changes, transformations to your career, status, and reputation. Look back at what got started in your professional life on January 21st when we had the new moon in Aquarius. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 11th in opposition to Mercury in the 5th. So just the thing that I was talking about, right? Like trying to find balance between your personal life, between your love life, and your duties to the collective, your dreams, your hopes and wishes. And so the full moon in the 10th house suggests that you are on that path to find more balance and on the path to both have a personal life and achieve your dreams. You potentially need to let go of something, right? Maybe you need to rethink your work schedule. Maybe you need to work a little less, right? Maybe you need to close a project, release a duty so that you can spend more time at home or spend more time with your child or your loved one. The sun in the 4th house squares Jupiter in the 1st house on August 6th. And this could be a sign of like either you are taking on too much when it comes to your family, or you're trying to accomplish too many things at once. Watch out for the tendency to overextend yourself for sure. And like this, if you do overextend yourself, if you do act a little bit recklessly, this can come to bite you in your behind, as Venus squares Uranus on August 9th. So there might be conflicts with family members, there might be tensions surrounding your living situation, maybe conflicts with your roommates, your neighbors, and a sense of like needing to do things differently. So potentially frustration that can also bring breakthroughs. And we already had this aspect on July 2nd. So take a look back and see what was happening in your life at that time. What kind of tensions you had to address, because perhaps you can learn from that and do things differently this time around. And let me know what happened in early July in the comments below. There is a lovely inspirational moment on August 13th. There is Venus Cazimi in your 4th house, which could be a time of maybe you buy something for your home. Maybe you paint a wall, or you paint a painting for your house, or you garden or something. There might be a sense of like really feeling content. And of course, Cazimi can also be the time of compromise and connection with family members, or connecting, feeling seen, feeling appreciated, feeling that perhaps you're more than your childhood wound, and that you can grow from any difficulty you face. If you're looking for a home, this might be the time when you see a home that you like. It could definitely be a lovely moment of connection with the universe and a sense of being supported. August 15th into 16th, we first have the Sun squaring Uranus, and then we have a new moon on the 16th in your 4th house in a square to Uranus. So this is a change to your home, family, and living situation inspired by a personal breakthrough, a personal revolution, right? Uranus in the 1st house could be a job opportunity in a different state. It could be a chance to tell the world who you are, right? Coming out to your family and telling them, this is who I am. And as a result, new moon in the 4th suggests new beginnings in terms of how you relate to family, new beginnings in terms of where you live or how you deal with home matters. So it could be very exciting, but also potentially a bit shaky and a bit tumultuous, but not without exciting parts. On August 22nd, we have a rather frustrating aspect. We have Mars in the 5th house opposing Neptune in the 11th. And this might be feeling low, feeling unsure about how to reach your creative goals, feeling unsure maybe about your love life. And your judgment is kind of flawed, and there might be a sense of disappointment, disillusionment, uncertainty. Watch out for leaning very heavily into Neptunian things and escaping reality, because then on August 27th, we have the Sun in Virgo, your 5th house, opposite Saturn in the 11th house, suggesting that you cannot keep running away from these tough decisions, or there is just certain tough, like kind of heavy choices you have to make. So this is all simultaneously. The Sun goes into Virgo on August 23rd. Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo on the 23rd as well until September 15th. And you are needing to examine your romantic relationship, your creative projects, and your relationships with children to see what needs to be tinkered with, what needs to be addressed, what needs to be perfected. Like if you are a creative individual, this is actually lovely for re-editing some of your work and maybe rewriting, bringing back old projects to life, right? But the tension between the Sun in the 5th house and Saturn in the 11th house on August 27th suggests that you may need to compromise. You may need to say no to the vision that you have if it's very perfectionist, right? You have Virgo in your 5th house. You can be very kind of certain of the way you want things to be, or almost like too perfectionist, right? And let me know that describes you. But with the opposition to Saturn in the 11th, it's like, take a step back. Think of what is realistic. Think of what can be adjusted in order to have a better flow. As a result, we also have a full moon in Pisces in your 11th house on August 30th, suggesting changes to your dreams, changes to your networks, perhaps redefining who you have in your circle. And even, if you an example could be like recently becoming a parent, right? And so your friend circle changes because you can no longer hang out with your non-parent parent, friends. So, and this full moon on August 30th also completes a cycle that started on February 20th with a new moon in Pisces. So take a look at what was happening in your social life, in your friendships around that time. And if you'd like a personal breakdown of the month ahead, describing these transits and other ones and more personal transits, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get personalized horoscopes sent to your email at the start of every month. Check it out. If you are a Gemini rising, the sun spends the month in Leo, your third house, until August 23rd. It's here. And Venus is in Leo the entire month, right? Venus is retrograde until September 3rd. So you are looking at your hobbies, you're looking at your knowledge, at your travel schedule, and you're potentially rethinking how can you better approach your ideas or better approach your mental output, right? There might be a sense of looking for inspiration, a sense of rethinking your blog, rethinking your writing project. At the same time, there's also a lot of squares to Jupiter and Uranus in the 12th house. So you may be dealing with things out of your control, or you're handling your mental health. You might be, like 12th house planets either want to escape into creativity, right? Or they want you to address your blind spots. So either you're trying to navigate how you can bring your creativity into existence, or you're trying to figure out what self-defeating tendencies you have that are not helpful. At the same time, Mercury and Mars are in Virgo, your fourth house, pretty much the entire month. And you're driven to change your living situation. You may be seeking to move, to spend more time with family, to do home renovation projects. The sun enters Virgo on August 23rd. Mercury goes retrograde the same day. So there's a lot of questioning going on in the sector of home, family, comfort, and security. Either it's literal home and you're looking at what needs to be adjusted. Maybe you need to buy new furniture. Maybe you need to declutter. But at the same time, it can also be about more spiritual topics of what makes you feel content. So a lot of questioning this month, right? And also at the same time, Saturn and Neptune are still hanging out in your 10th house, creating professional confusion or making you balance your home life with your professional life. The month begins with a full moon in Aquarius, your 9th house, on August 1st. And here we are looking at the sector of education, travel, publishing, and legal matters, and experiencing a sense of closing there. Something is ripening and coming full circle. So if you've been waiting for any legal documents to come through, especially if something got started in early January, it might be coming through. If there is any writing project, it can also be the time to close that. Maybe you're graduating, maybe you're finishing studies of some type. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 10th in opposition to Mercury in the 4th. So very, very kind of like, where is home? What's career? Where do I want to be? So the full moon in the 9th is either a mentality shift where you are realizing something new about yourself, or it could be a literal like getting a green card so that you can move to a different place, or getting a visa so that you can go study somewhere, right? August 6th, we have the sun squaring Jupiter. The sun is in the 3rd, squares Jupiter in your 12th. Watch out for the tendency to take on too much and say yes to too many things. There might be kind of a project coming your way that seems good but is actually self-defeating. And as a result, conflicts and drama with siblings and neighbors, or even ideological debates are possible. And just like an overall sense of like wanting for new things, but needing to either deal with all of those like legal matters or deal with your inner tension, inner fears, can come as Venus squares Uranus on August 9th. We've already had this square in early July 2nd. So let me know what happened in your life. Did you encounter any frustrations? Did you have to deal with any kind of slow and challenging events? Because they may be coming back for another round right now. Shortly after that, though, we have Venus Cazimi in your third house on August 13th. And Venus Cazimi in the third could be a beautiful moment of inspiration. Third house is writing, it's communication, it's skills, hobbies, business. So feeling ready, feeling clear, right? We are in the retrograde and things may feel muddy and confusing, but this might be an opportunity to kind of clarify what you want to do. Take a moment to journal, take a moment to write your dreams out as if they have already happened. You never know what might happen. The universe can hear you. On August 15th, 16th, we have the Sun squaring Uranus. We also have a new moon in your third house in a square to Uranus in the 12th house. And this is interesting. This is either you are starting new projects that have that 12th house quality, healing, teaching, esoteric, astrology, imagination, spirituality. Ran out of fingers on this hand. Or you're dealing with some kind of breakthroughs in the sector of mental health. You may be handling some kind of crisis, right? 12th house is very hard to put in words sometimes because it is that realm of half awake, half asleep, very spiritual. So here the new moon can be definitely you taking leadership, you taking control of a challenging situation, or you taking ownership of your skills and gifts and talents and turning them into a business, right? It could also be a breakthrough in therapy, a breakthrough and release of a bad habit that calls you to start a business or calls you to become a healer and maybe even share your experience with other people. August 22nd has a bit of a frustrating energy as Mars in your fourth house of home and family opposes Neptune in the 10th. There might be work confusion, there might be uncertainty about the future, uncertainty about where the company you're working for is going, or even feeling kind of frustrated with the job search process. Watch out for leaning into like escaping reality too much. A little bit of escaping is good. It's not good to overdo it. And then on August 27th, we have the Sun in the fourth house opposite Saturn in the 10th. So the confusion about work can result into you making tough decisions connected to work. You're trying to balance your sense of home, comfort, security, all the things that you want to do with family, with heavy work matters, right? And this definitely requires for some kind of compromise. On August 30th, we get a full moon in Pisces in your 10th house, which could be the time of change professionally. One very basic one that comes to mind is releasing a job or releasing a project, right? Maybe you're saying, I'm gonna give it to somebody else so I don't have to stay late, so I can go home and spend time with my child. So needing to be very kind of serious about what's realistic and what is not realistic, right? Like what can your job truly give you versus what is merely a dream seems like an important topic here. And this also completes a professional cycle that got started in late February 20th, when we had a new moon in Pisces. And if you'd like a more personal look at your month ahead, if you'd like a personal horoscope, you can become a subscriber on my website, Anastasia Does Astrology, and get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. And they break down all of the major transits, more than the ones that I'm talking in this video. And they also I look at your chart specifically and I see what else is going on, because a lot of times people feel like they don't necessarily resonate with everything because maybe something else is going on for you personally. If you are a Cancer rising, the Sun is in Leo, your second house of money and values, until August 23rd, and Venus is retrograde in Leo the entire month. So a lot of focus on money and values. You may be literally asking how much you're worth and how much you expect to be paid. But a lot of it could also be more internal, and a lovely opportunity to ask, how much do you value yourself, right? How much does your self-worth reflect what's going on around you, and perhaps getting a chance to work on your self-worth. There's tension between Leo planets in the second house of personal values and Taurus planets, Jupiter and Uranus, in your 11th house. So either you're dealing with conflicts with friends, maybe some kind of disagreements, or you're literally examining your spending habits and how they are affecting your hopes and plans for the future. Very, very kind of serious questions in terms of how much do you need to achieve things, what do you need to change, and stuff like that. Mercury and Mars spend the month in Virgo, pretty much the entire month. This is your 3rd house, and you feel driven to communicate, to learn, to teach, maybe go on short trips, to explore your neighborhood, right? The sun goes into Virgo on August 23rd, same day Mercury goes retrograde. So as you are thinking about your self-worth, right, with Venus retrograde, as you are exploring your talents and gifts, Mercury retrograde says that you need to perhaps rethink the tools you're using, or rethink the knowledge you have. There might be some exams you need to retake, a schedule you need to examine, right? Maybe even get new technology so that you are more supported or more kind of attuned to what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe even get your car checked, right? Get your engine light, whatever it is, I don't drive, checked out. The entire time, pretty much Virgo planets are opposing Saturn and Neptune in the 9th. So while you are kind of asking these questions and trying to improve your life, you're also burdened by heavy topics connected to education, connected to travel, legal matters, publishing. So there might be very serious questions about your future and where are you going that you need to balance with those things. Your everyday life is very much impacted by the 9th house matters, legal matters, education, travel, writing. For example, you might be thinking about the next chapter of your education. The month begins with a full moon in Aquarius, your 8th house, on August 1st. This completes the cycle that started on January 21st when we had a new moon in Aquarius, and suggests changes to your debts, taxes, loans, shared finances, your partner's money, right? Take a look back at what got started in late January rather, and maybe the time when you're paying off debts, maybe you're getting a loan approved that you've been thinking about. The full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 9th, opposite Mercury in the 3rd. So the focus of the full moon is on education, travel, life expansion. And so the financial changes are perhaps prompted by the new or the old, the pursuits you have in education. So if you're starting to study, you might be getting a loan for that. If you're becoming a teacher, maybe you're getting enough money to pay off your loans. Definitely feels like compromises that you need to make, and maybe tough conversations you need to have around resources and values as you're gearing up for the new chapter. On August 6th, we have the sun in your 2nd house, square Jupiter in the 11th. Watch out for a tendency to overextend yourself, overspend, to be overly generous. If you overdo that, there might be some conflicts as Venus squares Uranus on August 9th, some relationship tension, some battles surrounding resources, plans for the future, different vision of the future, and perhaps breakthroughs, right? Like Venus squared Uranus on July 2nd. What was happening in your life in early July? Were there any conflicts around money and resources and values? Look for opportunities to problem solve, right? And reallocate resources versus pointing fingers and blaming the other person. A lovely financial opportunity or a sense of confidence, inspiration, and growth comes with Venus Cazimi, which is the Sun conjunct Venus, in your 2nd house on August 13th. So this is lovely for starting a business. This is lovely for asking for a raise, sending an email. This is beautiful for your self-worth. It's Venus in Leo, conjunct the Sun in Leo. Write yourself a love letter, right? Like tell yourself how much you value and appreciate yourself. Could be very much important for like self-worth, alignment, confidence. Between August 15th and 16th, we have a new moon in a square to Uranus. So the new moon is happening in your second house of resources. So I think whatever you have conceived of, whatever this new idea or new inspiration, or even a chance to problem solve was about, it leads to financial new beginnings. It leads to a different approach to money and resources, and even a different approach towards yourself, right? I just had a reading with a Cancer rising client, and there's a lot of kind of tension between pursuing things that her heart tells her she should pursue and what everybody else is saying. So I think August can bring some insights about maybe even good compromises, right? But also like a sense of alignment with who you are at your core. And I'm born with North Node in Aries, so I feel like whenever I'm poised with a question of like, do I do what my heart wants or what other people expect of me, I'm always like, do you, boo? So a small digression, right? So the new moon on August 16th squares Uranus. It suggests financial new beginnings that perhaps are like they result in breakthroughs, right? They might lead to changes in your friendship dynamics. They may lead to changes in your dreams. Maybe you just need to make some kind of compromises in order to build financial stability, right? Or there's some kind of tensions with friends about your values or about the things you're doing for money. Maybe you're taking a job with your best friend's ex, and there's all the hush and hush conversations about it. August 22nd, we have a bit frustrating energy. Mars in your third house opposes Neptune in the ninth. Give it a couple of days before, a couple of days after. This feels like confusing conversations, miscommunications, struggles to separate and say what you truly want and sort of assert yourself. Sun goes into Virgo on the 23rd. Mercury goes retrograde on the 23rd in your third house. So needing to examine your communication style, needing to change your schedule becomes even more important. Needing to kind of talk things out is very pressing, especially as the Sun opposes Saturn on August 27th. All of this confusion can no longer stand. You are being forced to make a decision. You're perhaps feeling initially kind of blocked and stopped and delayed. But Saturn really just wants you to be ready. It's saying, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to compromise? Are you willing to give something up in order to get you to where you're trying to go? Because you cannot have things the way you want them 100%, right? That's not just how life works. And a lot of times you may feel like you know what you want, but in reality, you don't. In reality, you should be open to opportunities, right? And so as you're pondering these things, we get a full moon in Pisces, your ninth house of education, travel, legal matters, writing on August 30th. And that is very much a turning point when it comes to education, when it comes to your belief in yourself, when it comes to your ideals and pursuits. So it could be graduation, it could be getting into a program you've been trying to get into, or resolution of a legal matter. This cycle started in late February 20th, with a new moon in Pisces, so take a look back. And if you'd like a personal horoscope breaking down the month of August for you, describing what's happening in your chart right now, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. Check it out. If you are a Leo rising, this is important. It's an important month for you, right? Venus is retrograding in Leo, your first house. The Sun is in Leo until August 23rd. So you are really focusing on yourself. You're looking at your body, you're looking at your image, you're looking at your desires, at your status in the world, and you're asking, what is it that you truly want? What is it that truly gets you excited? Because that's what Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo wants to be happy and joyful and wants to be treated like the queen. And it also seems like you're balancing a lot of personal desires with professional matters and trying to figure out the best way to kind of achieve both of those things, because there's lots of aspects between first house Leo and 10th house Taurus. Simultaneously, Mercury and Mars spend pretty much the entire month in Virgo, your second house, and you're driven to work independently, to hustle, to make money, to save money, to invest into things. There might be like a faster turnaround of spending, making, etc. The Sun enters Virgo on August 23rd. Mercury goes retrograde the same day. So potentially a need to rethink your value, to rethink your finances, and maybe get better at saving. Be very mindful spending a lot of money, because as Mercury goes retrograde in your house of finances, some of your investments may need to be returned. There might be sudden spendings that come out of nowhere. So I would save some money for the rainy day. And the whole month, there is a lot of tension too between your personal goals and the goals of your partner, between your personal resources and things you want to achieve and the debts you have. So you're also being called to balance a lot of like me versus other people. So it's a bit of a like tense month, I'm gonna say. Not all of it, but definitely some important questions are being asked by you. At the start of the month, we have the full moon. This month we have 2 full moons and 1 new moon, so 3 lunations. August 1st, we have a full moon in Aquarius, your 7th house. Completion of a relationship chapter started on January 21st. What was happening in your love life? This could be releasing a relationship, right? Or it could be an opportunity to grow through a conflict and come closer and grow stronger together. The full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 8th house, opposite Mercury in the 2nd. So the transformation you're going through is connected to perhaps financial matters. Maybe you're joining resources with a partner. Maybe you are negotiating and kind of trying to figure out how you're going to spend money in the relationship. Maybe you're looking at the values you have and trying to get more clarity, right? Because maybe one of you wants kids and another one doesn't. And then it's a very kind of crucial turning point in the relationship. So you're kind of asking serious questions about whether your dreams align with your partner's dream and pursuing relationship matters accordingly or making changes accordingly. August 6th, we have the Sun in the 1st house squaring Jupiter in your 10th house. And there's some kind of, there might be professional opportunities that are not necessarily feel fully aligned with you. There might be some compromises you have to make. There might be a lot of work that you're willing to take on that perhaps is not healthy or not supportive. So you're maybe like on August 6th, you may be more inclined to say yes to things, even though they're not right for you. So be mindful when it comes to saying yes to over time or to even romantic choices, right? Dating someone who's not right for you. Because then as the month progresses, on August 9th, we have Venus squaring Uranus. And that could be very much conflicts with bosses, tension and drama that you need to address. We did already have this aspect, Venus squared Uranus, on July 2nd. What was happening in your professional life? What was happening in your relationships in early July? Let me know down below, because you may see some of that come back for another round. We do have a chance to resolve any of the drama on August 13th as Venus conjoins the Sun, or you get Venus Cazimi in the 1st house. Venus Cazimi is the moment of empowered Venus. So the goddess of beauty, the goddess of love, the goddess of connection, who is right now embodied by you because you are a Leo rising, is happening in your first house. She gets to shine really brightly. So you may feel inspired, you may feel connected, you may feel kind of pulled to start new things and redefine yourself. And these insights about who you are or who you want to be, this could also be like, the Cazimi on the 13th could be like a chance to write about yourself, or a chance to change your wardrobe, or a chance to come up with a new look for yourself. So it could be very like literal in some regards. But shortly after August 15th, 16th, we have the Sun squaring Uranus. We have a new moon in your first house and a square to Uranus in the 10th house. So there's new beginnings that come out of disruptions at work, or that result in disruptions at work. Some kind of shakeups are happening in the professional sector, resulting in a new role for yourself. So let's say somebody leaves your job, right? And you get a chance to take on their title. Or maybe you get to, maybe something romantic happens. Maybe you get engaged and you tell your job that you're moving to Alaska or something. So some kind of chance to redefine yourself, to show up as a leader that affects your career is very likely here. August 22nd has a bit of a confusing, frustrating energy. We have Mars in the 2nd house of finances, opposite Neptune in the 8th house. And you either feel like you've been really working to pay off this debt, but it's taking way longer than you would like, and you're really unsure. There might be certain connections you have with other people that you're trying to shake off, but you keep finding yourself in the same dynamics. So feeling discouraged, feeling low on energy is likely. Watch out for acting out of sadness. Watch out for taking, kind of overindulging or trying to escape your problems. Instead, try to brainstorm solutions. They may not present themselves easily at first, so take good care of yourself. On August 23rd, we have the Sun going into Virgo, Mercury goes retrograde, so everything that I mentioned in the beginning of the horoscope, rethinking finances, rethinking values, rethinking your self-worth, avoid major investments at this time. And then August 27th, the Sun in the house of money opposes Saturn in the 8th house of other people's resources, forcing you to make some compromises, right? So Mars opposed Neptune and you felt uncertain about how to pay off a debt or how to separate from an unhealthy relationship. And now the Sun opposes Saturn. So you are really called to be rational. You're called to be realistic and just create some kind of plan for yourself, right? Consult a financial advisor, start saving, putting money aside, ask someone for help, get like a loan, no percentage loan from your sibling if they're able to afford that. So very kind of heavy thinking around money. On August 30th, we have a full moon in Pisces in the 8th house, which is still about finances, which to me feels like you are making really kind of serious decisions and choosing to pay off a debt, choosing to start a payment plan, choosing to complete a partnership or kind of separate from a dynamic that is not healthy for you. Just be mindful the entire month to not sign off your soul to the devil. Like, take it slow. That's what Saturn wants you to do. And if you'd like a personal horoscope to know what the month of August has in store for you, you can become a subscriber. For like zoned off for a second. You can become a subscriber on my website to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the beginning of every month. They contain all of these transits I just mentioned, plus more personal transits, and describe what's happening in your chart, helping you navigate the month and helping you maximize the opportunities and avoid the challenges. If you are a Virgo rising, the Sun spends most of the month in Leo until August 23rd, and Venus is retrograding in Leo the entire month. So this is happening in your 12th house, and you're looking at your blind spot. There might be a lot of internal work addressing self-defeating tendencies, being more clear about what you want romantically, maybe releasing bad habits and becoming more self-aware. At the same time, planets in Leo in your 12th house square planets in Taurus in your 9th house. So you're also trying to balance that inner work with some kind of projects you're pursuing. Maybe you're writing, maybe you're dealing with legal matters, studying, or traveling, right? So there's a bit of like doing multiple things at once. Mercury and Mars are in Virgo, your first house, pretty much the entire month. So you are driven to start projects, to take good care of your health, to exercise, and sort of redefine yourself, right? Like Mercury wants to talk about oneself, it wants to write. So there's a lot of momentum, a lot of new energy. The Sun enters Virgo on August 23rd, same day as Mercury goes retrograde. So Virgo season this time around is colored by Mercury retrograde. So you are doing, I think, as Venus is retrograding and you're doing a lot of like inner work, with Mercury being retrograde in your first house, you're also doing some outer work, right? You're maybe thinking how your style reflects who you are, how your actions reflect what you're trying to accomplish. And maybe like rethinking what you want and rethinking how you present yourself. Even your skincare or your style or your hairstyle, stuff like that could be significant right now. The entire time Virgo planets are opposing Saturn and Neptune in the 7th, so relationship tensions are likely, relationship seriousness and heaviness and needing to balance your personal goals and needs with relationship goals and needs, perhaps taking it slower because you're trying to handle romantic matters or because your partner really needs you right now. So your dreams are very much impacted by your partner right now. The month begins with a full moon in Aquarius, your 6th house on August 1st. And this is a completion of a cycle started on January 21st that brings changes to your workload. Maybe you're completing a big project, a big labor of love. Let's say you've been writing a book and now you're done. Maybe you're dealing with a health battle. Maybe you're going through some kind of work changes. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 7th, opposite Mercury in the 1st. So once again, we're dealing with this kind of me versus us, needing to balance. So I think as you're with Saturn in the 7th, as you are really asking heavy and serious questions about your relationships, you're also being called to rethink work, right? Maybe you're getting married and so you need to open up space for wedding planning, right? Or maybe you're getting divorced and you need to open up space for planning your divorce party. It's no laughing matter, but I like the quote by Louis C.K. that no good marriage ever ended in divorce. I think it's Louis C.K. Louis C.K. may have quoted somebody. So definitely changes in your everyday life that are somehow inspired by your romantic needs. It could also be very literally like your partner is moving and you are relocating with them, right? That could be an example as well. The Sun in the 12th house squares Jupiter in the 9th on August 6th. Watch out for ideological debates. Watch out for a tendency to say yes to too many things and take on too much. This may result in relationship tests and some relationship drama coming up on August 9th as Venus in the 12th house squares Uranus in the 9th. So breakthroughs in love, breakthroughs in creativity are likely, conflicts are likely, but if you are flexible, you can figure out the solutions and you can perhaps improve your relationships. We already had this aspect in early July 2nd. Did you deal with any battles, any kind of tension? Perhaps, you desire to grow, but there's still some kind of inner work that you have to do, or even some kind of even just being more patient could be significant right now. August 13th is lovely. We have Venus conjoining the Sun, Venus Cazimi in your 12th house. very creatively, spiritually, imaginative moment. Could be a beautiful opportunity to meditate, to journal, to converse with nature, to go into nature. Could be a great time to envision your perfect relationship, to manifest a great relationship, but also potentially release something, right? Like Venus Cazimi is a happy moment, it's a hopeful moment. But I think there's also an energy of like what needs to be let go, what needs to be released in order to open up space for more joy in your life. Between August 15th, 16th, we have first the sun squaring Uranus, and then we have a new moon in your 12th house and a square to Uranus in the 9th. So there's potentially new beginnings in your sector of mental health, starting therapy, releasing bad habits, becoming a healer, even exploring imaginative projects is highly likely because this new moon also conjoins Venus, right? And I just spoke about Venus Cazimi as the moment of like clarity and unity and inspiration. So you are ready to start new things. But the new moon also squares Uranus in the 9th, so it's not without shakeups. It's not all easy. There might be certain separation or disagreement that is happening with your teachers, with your mentors, with your elders. Or maybe you're just willing to sort of break away from the known and go off on your own, and either internally feeling torn about it or externally dealing with adversity is likely. August 22nd has a bit of a rough, confusing energy as Mars in your first house opposes Neptune in the 7th. Either your partner is acting not very clear, not speaking up and telling you exactly what's going on. You may feel like they're deceiving you or they're misleading you. So feeling confused about relationships is likely. Poor choices are likely. So watch out for making rash decisions. As the sun enters Virgo and Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo, you are kind of entering a period. This happens on August 23rd. You're entering a period of rethinking your self-worth, right? As you are looking closely at yourself, you're having to make some compromises and some sacrifices about relationships and partnerships as the sun opposes Saturn on August 27th. And then we have a full moon in your house of relationships on August 30th. So it's interesting because it feels like your relationships have a bit of a heavy, serious energy right now. And that might mean that your partner is going through a difficult time, or you're just talking about the future, or you're going through a separation of some sort. And in order to find more balance, or in order to find more peace, you really need to like look within and ask how much you're willing to give, how much you're willing to sacrifice. And, what is it that you want for this relationship, and whether the relationship you're in is aligned with who you are and who you want to be. Because the full moon in Pisces on August 30th can also mean ending a relationship, or like exploring something new, opening space for something new. If you'd like a personal horoscope, if you'd like to know what these transits and many more have in store for you, as well as how the transits above are affecting you personally, your chart, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and receive written horoscopes delivered to your email address at the start of every month. Check it out. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Now, if you are a Libra rising, the sun spends most of the month in Leo until August 23rd, and Venus is in Leo the entire month. Venus is retrograde, Leo is your 11th house. So 11th house is the place of friendships, it's the place of networks, the place of social media, connection. You may be feeling more involved with other people, you may be questioning your involvements, or even questioning your social media strategy. Maybe you're looking for inspiration. 11th house represents dreams, so needing to rethink some dreams, feeling like, things are maybe not happening as fast as you'd like. There's just a lot of things that you're questioning right now. At the same time, as you're questioning those things, Leo planets, both the Sun and Venus, are aspecting Taurus planets in the 8th house. So you may be dealing with questions of resources, right? Questions of resources and values, and wondering whether you have enough money to make your dreams come true, or whether you know enough, whether you know people who can be helpful. A lot of questioning of like social dynamics and financial dynamics, or just give and take dynamics with other people. Mercury and Mars spend the month, most of the month. Mercury the entire month, Mars until August 27th in Virgo, your 12th house. And you are driven to take a break. You're driven to work in solitude, maybe work on imaginative projects, work on spiritual projects, get away, get some rest, but not so quickly, right? It's not that easy. Mercury and Mars oppose Saturn and oppose Neptune pretty much the entire month. Kind of, it gets stronger or weaker at times, but there is your workload is really heavy, and it's kind of very difficult to try and balance those things. Do not hesitate to take a break. It's okay to take breaks. I'm telling myself that as a Libra rising. But just be ready that your desire for peace may not be as easily achieved this time around. Like last year, we had Mars in Virgo, or Mercury in Virgo, Sun in Virgo. I don't think we had Mars in Virgo last year. But yeah, basically, like last time when Virgo season was happening, the Saturn was in Aquarius, so there wasn't an opposition. Now it's more like your desire for escape is not so easily accessible. So you need to work extra hard to find balance. And the Sun will go into Virgo on August 23rd. Mercury will begin its retrograde in Virgo on August 23rd, suggesting that all of these topics around hard work, around escape, around your mental health will need to be addressed. Basically, how can you have a better balance in your life is important right now. I am going away to France for a month, so I don't know how I'm going to balance it all, because I'm definitely not just going to be relaxing. I'm going to be doing a lot of work while I'm there, so I'm a little bit scared of this. And let me know how this is affecting you. Have you felt as a Libra rising that there is a ton of work lately? We have a full moon in Aquarius, your 5th house, on August 1st. Completion of a cycle started on January 21st. And this brings changes to your creative projects, your romantic relationship, your relationship with your child, or even giving birth to a child is a possibility here, right? Like the full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 6th house. That's Saturn saying that you have a lot on your plate right now. So you are, with the full moon here, you're needing to balance work with fun. And you may actually lean a little bit with this full moon into fun, trying to have it all. So like needing to be very thoughtful about how you can manage your creativity, how you can manage your joy, manage your relationship is important. And of course, very literally, you can be completing a project so that you can prioritize something else, changing a relationship so it's more having conversations about like relationships and children, so that you are on the same page and you're both aware of how to best navigate things right now while you do have this crazy workload. Maybe it's just me. If you're a Libra rising without a workload, let me know, because I'm feeling it heavy right now. The Sun in the 11th house squares Jupiter in your 8th house on August 6th, bringing some kind of potentially a tendency to overspend, maybe a tendency to take on too much, maybe like this optimism in a sense it's gonna all work out that takes you off track. It can result in conflicts and relationship tensions, disagreements about values, conflicts with friends around August 9th as Venus in the 11th squares Uranus in the 8th. Perhaps a friend owes you money and you get in a fight with them, or a friend expects you to do certain things for them and you don't have space for that. feeling sort of stuck creatively can be extra irritating right now, but be kind to yourself. Last time we had this transit was on July 2nd. So take a look back at early July. Let me know in the comments below what was happening in your life on July 2nd. Definitely feels like tension around finances, resources, give and take dynamics, who does what in a partnership, and needing to balance it out. I love Venus Cazimi in your 11th house on August 13th. Venus conjoins the Sun, empowered goddess of love and beauty. If you have a friend that you're crushing on, this might be the time when the friendship goes to a new level. Starting a creative project with a friend is also likely. Feeling inspired to start to kind of film a video or put something on social media that maybe does really well. You feel inspired, you feel insightful, you feel connected. You feel connected with people who follow you. I'm excited, I feel connected with you guys already. But it could be a very beautiful, clear moment, especially if you've been feeling frustrated with the retrograde, right? Or feeling unsupported, or feeling like your friendships are a little bit stagnant, or your creative projects are stagnant. This could be the time when it feels less frustrating. Hooray! August 16th starts on the 15th. We have the Sun square Uranus, and then we have a new moon in Leo on August 16th. This new moon squares Uranus in the 8th. So once again, that whole like 11th, 8th dynamic, your dreams versus resources. Your role versus things that you have and things that you don't have, or things that you desire, right? So the new moon in the 11th could be a symbol of a new friendship, a new group project, a new social media opportunity that maybe is a little bit uncomfortable to you because of that square to Uranus. Maybe it's disruptive to your resources. Maybe this new project costs a lot of money and you need to be mindful. Maybe you're starting a new partnership that doesn't feel as stable. So be really careful around this time and aware of what you say yes to or what you say no to. Do not sign contracts that do not seem stable or life affirming. But maybe, maybe something that seems unstable, it can actually result in the future in more stability. August 22nd has tense energy as Mars in your 12th house opposes Neptune in the 6th. Once again, some kind of uncertainty around work, maybe health issues. If you've been working yourself too hard, this could be the time when you feel low on energy, when you feel uncertain, unable to step up or separate yourself from other people, kind of assert, defend yourself. And this energy continues because the Sun enters Virgo, Mercury goes retrograde, making you look at your self-defeating tendencies. Mercury retrograde starts on August 23rd, lasts until September 15th, my birthday, hooray. So feeling like you need to examine your blind spots and get better at boundaries, at taking care of yourself. And then, August 27th has also frustrating energy as the Sun in the 12th house opposes Saturn in the 6th house. Having to make tough decisions about your health, about your workload, compromising, trying to remember to relax while you're also handling a lot of duties. And that culminates on August 30th with a full moon in Pisces in the 6th house, which results, I think, in a change of your schedule. Maybe you release a project, maybe you kind of start taking better care of your health. It feels like really needing to think what's realistic and what's not, and maybe let go of something that's not serving you. If you'd like a personal horoscope to know what these and many other transits have in store for you, you can become a subscriber on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, to get personal horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. Check out my website. If you are a Scorpio rising, the Sun spends most of the month in Leo, your 10th house of career, status, reputation. Stays here until August 23rd, and Venus is retrograding in Leo until September 3rd. So the entire month, you are looking at your career. You're looking at your reputation, at your dreams. You're asking whether you have enough fun, whether your work is joyful and aligned with who you are, or whether you feel recognized. There might be some tensions you're also addressing between your dreams for the future and your relationships, as the Sun and Venus aspect Uranus and Jupiter and Taurus. So kind of doing a lot of heavy lifting and balancing partnerships and your dreams for the future, maybe negotiating with your partner, etc. The whole September as well, we have Mercury and Mars in Virgo, 11th house for you. So you are driven to network, you're driven to connect with people, maybe lead them, pioneering new dreams, pursue new projects. It's a very kind of social, busy, professional time for you, even though Venus is retrograde and you may not find many answers until she goes direct next month, but there still might be a lot of action, right? The Sun goes into Virgo, enters Virgo on August 23rd. Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo on August 23rd, calling you to rethink your involvements, to rethink your friendships, to rethink your dreams, and ask which ones are supportive, which ones are long-lasting, which ones maybe have been outdated and only drain your energy at this point. Another something you're balancing the entire month is you're balancing these networking events, or you're balancing these dreams for the future with your children, with your personal life, with your parties or your fun or your kind of like things that you would rather do. So Saturn in your 5th house is saying that you really need to be really need to be structured, and you really need to give a lot of attention to the work that you're trying to do. So kind of trying to expand at the same time as you have duties to children, duties to your romantic partner is, I think, the theme, one of the main themes this month. The month opens up with a full moon in Aquarius, your 4th house, on August 1st. This completes a cycle that got started on January 21st when we had a new moon in Aquarius, and brings changes to your home, your family, your living situation. Maybe you are ending a home renovation project, maybe you're moving, or even your family maybe is experiencing a change of some sorts. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 5th, opposite Mercury in the 11th. So Saturn in the 5th brings up like karma around children, karma around creative projects, romance. So I feel like the changes in the home can be connected to that. So maybe you are opening up your space to have a nursery, right? So maybe your change in your relationship with your partner or in your living situation is connected to the new beginnings inspired by the child on the way, right? So trying to balance once again, like your mental well-being, your place of living with the projects you have and the projects that you're trying to accomplish. There was like a fly this big outside of my window just now. Terrifying. On August 6th, we have the Sun in the 10th house squaring Jupiter in the 7th. This feels like maybe a tendency to overdo it, to overextend yourself, to overpromise, to agree to something like romantically or professionally that is not serving you. Perhaps you say yes to a work project that then results in a romantic conflict, because on August 9th, Venus squares Uranus, resulting in relationship tests and breakthroughs. I think, Venus being in the 10th house, squaring Uranus in the 11th, your partner might kind of express something that contradicts your desires, or there might be they might reveal something. There might be an opportunity to examine how much you or your partner wants freedom and renegotiate the confines of your relationship, perhaps change your relationship somehow. We already had Venus square Uranus on July 2nd. What happened in your relationship at the time? What was going on in your life? Let me know in the comments below, and you can potentially expect a second round of that. A lovely time romantically and creatively and professionally is August 13th. We have Venus Cazimi in your 10th house of career, status, and reputation. And so Venus Cazimi is Venus conjunct the Sun. Venus in Leo wants to be seen, appreciated, recognized. And when she's conjoining the Sun, about a day it lasts for Venus, you have this beautiful moment of alignment, of inspiration, of clarity. You may conceive of a new dream, conceive of a new project. It's a lovely time to talk to your boss and negotiate or, present a new idea. It's a lovely time to start a website, to start a business. So a really exciting opportunity that then leads to a new moon in your 10th house of career on August 16th. And the new moon squares Uranus in your 7th house. So it's once again similar tension of your dreams versus your relationship, of your desires and your personal opportunities versus what's happening in your love life, right? So, or what's happening in your partner's life. Perhaps your partner is going through a shaky period professionally and you need to balance your pursuits with their life. There might also be like unique opportunities that come and disturb your professional life, right? Like somebody offers for you to join their business and now you need to decide what to do. So some kind of exciting job prospect that can be shaky and a bit unstable and can affect your relationship in a different, unique kind of way, right? Like getting a job offer that takes you to a different state, for example. August 22nd has a confusing energy as Mars in your 11th house opposes Neptune in the 5th. You may feel uncertain how to deal with your romantic relationship. There might be confusion around your children. Maybe something's going on in their lives or something's going on about, making a decision to have a child. So there might be a bit of like insecurity and maybe even a tendency to overdo it, to kind of lean into escape the drama and the tension and go into like having a good time. So beware of that, because on August 27th, the Sun will oppose Saturn, and that reads as like having to make some compromises, having to have some tough conversations, having to weigh the dreams against reality. Saturn in the 5th feels like the time of like, it's asking you, what are you willing to give up, right? The Sun in the 11th wants to achieve, it wants to succeed, but as there is an opposition to Saturn, it's saying, what's realistic? What can you actually do? If you want to be a parent, but you also want to be an influencer, maybe you need to choose one. Or if you want to be like a doctor and you're in med school, but you're also ready to be a parent now, which one is it? How can you go for one and dedicate time to just one thing at a time, right? Because sometimes trying to do too many things at once is not realistic. And then we have a full moon in Pisces on August 30th, which is once again heaviness and seriousness around your love life, around your creative pursuits, and your children related matters, suggesting that perhaps something needs to be released, something needs to be addressed. It's a completion of a cycle that started on February 20th, and you need to make some compromises in your love life in order to balance your dreams with your romantic, creative, or parenting desires. And if you'd like a personal horoscope that includes these and many more transits as they pertain to your chart, I take a look at your personal chart, at your personal transits. You can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. Check out my website. If you are a Sagittarius rising, the Sun spends most of the month in Leo, your 9th house, while Venus is retrograding in Leo. And so a lot of focus is on your beliefs, philosophies, on travel, on education, writing, and inner aspirations, on your desire to grow and expand. But because Venus is retrograde, it may not be immediately clear. Plus, Leo planets are also squaring Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house. So there might be some professional or health-related matters or matters related to you taking care of other people, because 6th house rules service to other people that is affecting your pursuits, right? Perhaps you want to travel, but you have a young child that needs your attention. So needing to handle that desire, that urge for adventure with, and balance that with everyday concerns is the theme of the month, as well as professional growth. And perhaps that's part of your desires, because Mars and Mercury are in Virgo, your 10th house, pretty much the entire month. And you're driven to be proactive at work, to take more responsibilities, to grow, and to reach new professional heights. However, Mercury will station retrograde on the 23rd of August, asking you to review, revise, and rethink professional matters. As well as with professional matters, it's also anything you might be known for in the world and any kind of desires you have to be known for certain things. There is a lot of oppositions to Neptune and Saturn this month, so your professional life is at odds with your home life, or you're kind of having to weigh your desires against your maybe home renovation project, or maybe responsibilities to your family, or maybe some kind of karma. Even questions around what do you deserve can be very important right now, because with Saturn in your 4th house, I think examining your past and finding ways to release the fears or release the unhealthy beliefs you've inherited is very important. The month begins with a full moon in Aquarius, your 3rd house, on August 1st. And that brings changes to your schedule, to your everyday life, to your even technology you use. There might be some kind of, releasing the old car, getting a new car, maybe new way of communicating, a change in your relationship with your sibling. Take a look at what happened in late January. We had a new moon in Aquarius on January 21st. Because whatever was happening at the time is coming full circle right now, right? Like 3rd house deals with education and writing and communication and local relationships, immediate relationships. So if you've been studying something, you may be completing an exam, you may be finishing a project, you may be, if you've been planning a trip, you may be going on a trip. It's ruled by Saturn in the 4th, opposite Mercury in the 10th. So very much family-related projects or family-related topics can be extra important right now. And the changes you're going through, because 3rd house could also mean readjusting your schedule, right? Like changing your everyday life. You're doing that to either be closer to your family or to maybe build better relationships with your family. Sometimes you need to take a break and go on vacation once in a while to have better relationships with your family. Maybe you're completing an exam as well, so you can take an exam and get a better, completing education, I guess, so you can take an exam and get a better position at work as well. Or just have a better work-life balance, I think, is the pull here. How can you change your everyday life, your schedule, your commitments to have a better flow between your work and your home life? August 6th has an exciting, abundant energy, but perhaps a challenge of taking on too much. At first, I think you feel excited to kind of take on things that people are asking of you, but then as Venus squares Uranus on August 9th, there might be some conflicts. There might be some tensions and frustrations, because Venus in the 9th, even if she's retrograde, she still wants to travel, she wants to adventure, she wants to explore. But there is a square to Uranus in the 6th suggesting that something needs to change surrounding work, health, service to other people. So there might be breakdowns and breakthroughs connected to those things. So stay patient. Take a look back at July 2nd. We had Venus square Uranus at that time. what happened for you, what can be coming back for another round. August 13th has beautiful energy as Venus conjoins the Sun in your 9th house, suggesting inspiration, maybe meeting people who open your world, who connect you to new ideas. There might be an opportunity to travel. There might be an insight of some sorts that then inspires you to grow and to follow your dreams, as we get a new moon in Leo on August 16th. This new moon squares Uranus in the 6th, so still that tension around your everyday life, a need to innovate, a need to think outside the box, maybe certain frustrations you have to address. But one thing is clear is that with the new moon after Venus Cazimi, you do have this strong urge to travel, strong urge to teach or study new things, maybe even write or become a lawyer for some of you. So just be mindful that you don't push too hard for your desires, because the square to Uranus can also result in like an accident, right? You're so excited running to buy a plane ticket and you're stumbling and falling. So like just beware of that, because square to Uranus always has a bit of like chaotic, unpredictable energy. August 22nd is a bit frustrating as Mars in your 10th house opposes Neptune in the 4th. This may feel like your work life is really slowed down by your home life. It may feel like there are certain tensions and difficulties that you need to address, right? And then as the Sun enters Virgo and Mercury goes retrograde on August 23rd, you're even more focused on your career and your dreams for the future, asking how is it possible? How can you possibly do what you're trying to do, right? Like maybe there's a need to compromise, maybe there's a need to negotiate, kind of take a step back and look at things objectively. Definitely a need to make compromises, a need to make some tough decisions as the Sun opposes Saturn on August 27th. The Sun is in your house of career. Saturn is in the 4th house, saying, are you willing to sacrifice something? You may have to sacrifice a move. You may have to sacrifice a relationship with your family. But there's definitely a need to be very aware that in order to get to where you're trying to go, you will have to make tough decisions, right? And then we have a full moon in Pisces, your 4th house, on August 30th, bringing a change to your living situation, bringing a change to your family dynamic. Maybe sacrificing things means moving too, right? Like as you're trying to reach new heights, you perhaps have to sacrifice a comfortable home and go live somewhere else. And take a look at what was happening in late February when we had a new moon in Pisces. What was happening with your living situation? Did you start looking for a home? Did you maybe think about selling a home and now you get an offer? What was happening around that time? And if you'd like a more personal horoscope that is tailored to your chart and describes these and many more transits, giving you tips and ideas on how to maximize the better ones and avoid the more difficult ones, you can become a subscriber on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. Check out my website for that. If you are a Capricorn rising, the Sun spends most of the month in Leo, your 8th house. Sun is here until August 23rd. Venus is here the entire month. So you are looking closely at your give and take dynamics with other people. You're asking what is fair, what is supportive, what kind of relationships and agreements are life affirming versus which ones are dragging you down. You may be talking about fairness a lot more. You may be focusing on money, right? Paying off debts, thinking of getting resources you need. There could be an element of trying to figure out how to accomplish things you're trying to accomplish. Perhaps it's connected to your creative project, or it's connected to becoming a parent, right? Maybe you're trying to figure out where to get enough money for IVF or something, or to freeze your eggs or whatever it might be. Especially because planets in Leo square planets in Taurus, which is 8th house versus 5th house. So really trying to sort of even navigating your romantic relationship to be more honest, to be more kind of authentic and real is likely. Mercury and Mars are in Virgo, your 9th house, pretty much the entire month. Sorry, just something's happening in my throat. So Mercury and Mars are in Virgo, your 9th house, the entire month, right? And you're driven to travel, to learn, to explore. Maybe you're feeling adventurous. You're ready to go outside of your comfort zone. Even start writing is a possibility here because 9th house deals with publishing. However, at the same time as you're exploring these different possibilities and thinking of going on adventures, there is an opposition to Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd house. So you may be addressing some kind of duties connected to your everyday life, or handling paperwork, or handling, legal matters or bureaucracy of some sort before you're able to reach your goals, right? One of my Capricorn rising friends is an actress and a writer, and so with writer's strike right now and actors supporting the writer's strike, it might just feel like a lot of things need to be resolved in the immediate before that goal and that dream can come true. And let me know how this is showing up in your life. Have you felt some kind of frustrations and things that you need to deal with before you can reach that dream that you perhaps are thinking about? The month begins with a full moon in Aquarius. This is your 2nd house on August 1st, bringing changes to money and values. There might be a payout or maybe some kind of new dynamic in your financial life, maybe starting to save for something, or maybe actually making a purchase, because full moon represents more of a completion and release of finances sometimes. Could also be a payment, like I said. But take a look back at what got started in your life in late January when we had a new moon in Aquarius. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 3rd, opposite Mercury in the 9th. So it's interesting because it's once again highlighting that dynamic of balancing your everyday life and everyday concerns with your dreams and wishes. So I think the full moon in the 2nd house could be very much about either rediscovering your self-worth or changing your finances so that you can be better prepared for when that green light hits and when you're able to move with more vitality and speed, when Saturn sort of lets you move. There might also be certain compromises that have to be made, right? Like with this full moon in the 2nd house, getting money for the work you did, but maybe it's less than what you expected, or maybe you only get a part of the payment right now. The sun in the 8th house squares Jupiter in your 5th house on August 6th, and there might be some, Jupiter in the 5th could be very much generous and jolly right now and very interested in partying and having a good time. So watch out for a tendency to overextend yourself, overspend, party a bit much, promise things that you cannot deliver. Because on August 9th, we have Venus squaring Uranus, and that can result in romantic drama, in conflicts and tensions surrounding resources and surrounding agreements around money, agreements around children, agreements around creative self-expression, sort of battling it out and going at it and fighting and disagreeing. But also, if you're open, there might be breakthroughs. There might be radical honesty and clarity about all of those matters. Take a look back at July 2nd. We had Venus in a square to Uranus at that time, and let me know down below what happened in your life in early July, because that energy is likely coming for another round August 9th. Right after that, a few days later, on August 13th, we have Venus Cazimi in your 8th house. And Venus Cazimi is an empowered Venus, and she's retrograde right now, right? So There's a lot of confusion and uncertainty connected to love, creativity, connection. But when Venus conjoins the Sun, the exact conjunction is called Cazimi. That is actually very empowered Venus, and it's a turning point in the retrograde. It could be the time when you come up with an idea of getting the resources you need, or you figure out how to pay off the debt that you have, or you feel inspired to start a partnership. The light bulb goes off. And then on August 16th, we have a new moon in the 8th house, which inspires you to take that idea and to take that moment of inspiration and turn it into something real. The new moon in your 8th house squares Uranus in the 5th. So once again, there's some kind of partnerships and new beginnings that maybe are affecting your plans to have children, or affecting your creative inspiration, or affecting your relationships. There's some kind of need to be flexible, because these new beginnings, maybe you decide to invest money into something and that results in conflicts with your partner because they don't agree. So needing to kind of compromise and talk honestly about things is important at this time. August 22nd has a frustrating energy as Mars in the 9th house opposes Neptune in your 3rd house. Suggesting confusion surrounding writing projects and education and even scheduling or siblings. There might be a sense of dissatisfaction, disillusionment, feeling low on energy, miscommunicating is highly likely. But once again, just the same kind of energy, like feeling like you do not have the answers. That might be the tagline for this month, just like grinding and feeling frustrated. It's not the entire month, but there's definitely a lot of challenging moments with all of these retrogrades going on. So this confusion gets a chance to be examined closely on August 27th as the Sun in Virgo opposes Saturn in Pisces. And then we get a full moon in Pisces on August 30th. So you are having to make tough decisions, you're having to make compromises and maybe make sacrifices in the immediate so that the future can be accomplished, right? So maybe you're negotiating a contract and you have to take a lower rate so that in the future you can get a higher rate. Maybe you're dealing with a lot of forms you have to file, a lot of kind of questions about the future and the uncertainty connected to the future, right? But there is some kind of, with the full moon in the 3rd house, there's a need to examine your everyday life and potentially make changes to your everyday life, or make changes to the way you communicate in order to have better space and have more ability to achieve the things that you're trying to achieve. But Saturn definitely has that, like, move slowly, be ready to compromise, do not rush type energy. And if you'd like to know what August has in store for you personally, you can become a subscriber on my website to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. They look at your unique chart and describe everything that's going on relating to you, as well as more personal transits and how they might be affecting you right now. Check out the link down there. If you are an Aquarius rising, the Sun is spending most of the month in your 7th house until August 23rd, and Venus is retrograde here the entire month. So 7th house is your place of relationships. If you are in one, this might be the time when things feel a little bit more confusing and uncertain. It might be the time. This dress is just interesting. It might be the time when you find ways to come closer together with your partner, but initially maybe you feel dissatisfied. Maybe you feel like the relationship has lost its spark. So needing to ask important questions, needing to look for ways to reconnect is the theme here. Maybe you're addressing some topics connected to home and family. maybe you're looking at your childhood and seeing how the patterns from when you were a kid, how patterns of your parents' relationship affect your relationship. But definitely kind of more challenging, right? If you're single, there might be, even if you're in a relationship, actually also like exes might be returning into your life, because Venus in the 7th house tends to be very literal in terms of that. So having to deal with past relationships, but also having to get more clear about your values and about your desires in a romantic relationship is important here. Mercury and Mars are in Virgo, your 8th house, pretty much the entire month, and you're looking at your give and take dynamics. You're looking at intimacy, you're looking at closeness, and maybe you're negotiating a lot, right? Like you're sort of weighing things, especially because Virgo planets, Mercury will go retrograde on August 23rd, right? So needing to talk about money, needing to talk about resources, needing to talk about understanding and intimacy could be really crucial for your relationships right now. And once again, if you're single, maybe you just need to look at your finances and you need to renegotiate some things, renegotiate your credit card rate, or pay off some debts. And so the retrograde could be very much about that. A lot of questions, I think, too, of relying on yourself versus relying on others, right? And how can you have a healthy balance there? Because Saturn is in your 2nd house, potentially creating a bit of a maybe slower gains financially, maybe more spending. So with that Virgo planet in the 8th and dealing with other people, and Saturn in the 2nd dealing with your own resources, there's a lot of questions that you're asking right now. There's a full moon in Aquarius, your 1st house, on August 1st, which brings changes to your health, to your physical image, to your brand and your routines. As it is ruled by Saturn in the 2nd, opposite Mercury in the 8th, these changes may be connected to, once again, struggling to find balance between self-reliance and relying on others. So the full moon in the 1st could be the time when you choose to maybe trust somebody else with taking care of you, or you choose to be more financially independent. You choose to come up with a financial strategy. You choose to do some research and sort of trust yourself to get yourself out of the financial situation that you're in. If you're struggling financially, let me know if you do down below, or if you felt like finances have been a little bit slower maybe lately. That could be the symptom of having Saturn in your 2nd house for sure. So the full moon in the 1st house could be a sign of making changes to your look, to your style, to your personality that bring better financial status, right? Maybe you choose to change your skincare to save some money, or maybe you sell some of your clothes to have some money, right? There might be some kind of changes to your self that improve your resources, or that are very focused on resources. There might be some tendency to overdo it, overextend yourself, maybe overpromise, or get some kind of, especially when it comes to between your love life and your family, maybe some kind of a tendency to do too much for the family, and then that comes back to haunt you between August 6th and August 9th. So August 6th, Sun squares Jupiter, which is very like, I can do it all, give me more, I'm excited energy. But then Venus squares Uranus on August 9th, suggesting that something needs to change, right? Like maybe you have a tendency to say yes to too many things. Maybe you have a tendency to be overly generous, right? Or like even any kind of romantic tensions are possible. And I think with Uranus in the 4th, it's either about family, home, and living situation, or it could also be connected to childhood and the past, and how the events of the past have impacted you. And how are they still impacting you, right? August 13th is a lovely moment. We have Venus Cazimi, the Sun conjoins Venus, It's the empowered Venus. So when it's in your 7th house, it could be a moment of magic, inspiration, connection, new partnerships, business partnerships, or romantic partnerships, or just a moment of coming together, seeing the sparks, seeing your partner for who they are and accepting them and loving them, maybe feeling inspired to like write a song about them or something like that, or even a moment of like feeling inspired to tell the story of your relationship, for example. And then out of that, we get a new moon in your 7th house on August 16th that squares Uranus in the 4th. So I feel like this inspiration definitely leads to something beautiful and new beginnings in your love life, maybe new relationship, but somehow this new beginning is contradictory to your home, family, and living situation, or it requires you to break away from the home, family, or living situation, or it brings change to your home, family, and living situation. Maybe your partner moves away. Maybe your partner gets a job opportunity and they have to go to another state, and so your relationship gets a different new beginning, but it's not necessarily stable, right? Or maybe you are being called to separate from your parents and like find more freedom in order to have better relationships with other people potentially. August 22nd has frustrating energy as Mars in your 8th house opposes Neptune in the 2nd. So confusion around money, potentially feeling disappointed, feeling like you've been putting a lot of effort in, and you're still not where you want to go. As a result, between August 27th and August 30th, you may have to make some tough decisions, compromises, sacrifices related to resources, as the Sun in the 8th house opposes Saturn in your 2nd house. Sun in the 8th wants to pay off debts. It also wants to collaborate, right? It wants to maybe start partnerships, but Saturn in the 2nd suggesting that maybe you don't have enough resources to offer to this partnership. And so having to make tough decisions, especially when we get the full moon in Pisces, your 2nd house, like you really need to get it together when it comes to money, get more serious, connect to a financial advisor, pay off some debts, start setting some money aside, and perhaps, kind of develop more independence financially so that you can build better relationships. And if you'd like to know more about August and what's ahead for you personally, you can become a subscriber on my website to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. They describe transits that are happening in the skies, transits that are happening in your natal chart, and give you tips and guidance on how to maximize the best ones and how to avoid the more challenging ones. Now let's talk about Pisces. If you are a Pisces rising, the Sun is in Leo, your 6th house, most of the month until August 23rd. And Venus is retrograding in Leo until September 3rd, so the entire month of August. And there's a lot of focus on your health, on your work, on service, like on service to other people. There's a lot of kind of grinding that might be happening. Maybe you have a young child and you're taking care of them. Maybe you have a health issue that you're working through, right? There is also tension between 6th house planets and Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus in the 3rd house. So I feel like you're really trying to balance the grind and taking care of your health with writing or your hobbies or your relationships, and just sort of trying to have both, but it might be difficult. Definitely with Venus retrograde, needing to be health conscious comes first, I think. At the same time, you're also very relationship oriented because Mars and Mercury are in your 7th house pretty much the entire month. So you're driven to partner up, you're driven to go on dates. The Sun enters Virgo on August 23rd, Mercury goes retrograde on August 23rd. There might be an ex coming into your life, or there might be some negotiation you have to do, some kind of rethinking of your relationship dynamics, honest conversations you need to have because perhaps something has been bothering you, but you're not saying it. So can't really avoid saying it with Mercury retrograde. A lot of times, all of the hidden stuff ends up crawling back and coming up. If it brings an ex back into your life, be careful, avoid taking them back, because sometimes it's just an itch you need to scratch. But sometimes you need to scratch that itch, Not gonna judge. Also, there's a lot of, like, once again, your personal kind of growth and your personal responsibilities can be contradictory to the relationship matters right now. Saturn is in your first house, opposing Virgo planets, and so you really are focused on handling your health, handling your life, making important decisions. So somehow this could be contradictory to your love life, right? This could be a bit of a buzzkill when it comes to dating and enjoying relationships. And if you're single, maybe you're just driven to start relationships that are harmonious and happy and long-lasting and encouraging of your future growth, right? But there's definitely some responsibility with Saturn in your first house that you need to handle. On August 1st, we have a full moon in Aquarius, your 12th house, completing a cycle that started on January 21st when we had a new moon in Aquarius. And it brings changes to the sector of mental health, to the sector of self-defeating tendencies, and your blind spots. So with this full moon, your bad habits can get illuminated. Perhaps there is something that you think is just child's play that you do that doesn't hurt anyone. But around the full moon, it could be the time when it catches up with you. Maybe your partner brings attention to it because the full moon is ruled by Saturn on August 1st, opposing Mercury in the 7th house. So there's definitely some kind of potentially negative tendency you have that affects your relationships, and you are called to look within and let go of something that doesn't serve you. Or your partner brings to your attention that you could be doing something you're not doing. A friend brings it up, like, whoever is your de facto partner in your life right now. On August 6th, the Sun squares Jupiter. Watch out for a tendency to overdo it, to take on too much. Jupiter is in the house of schedule, in the house of the mind. There might be a sense of like, I can do it. I can handle it all. But it might be a bit difficult for you. And then if you do say yes to something that you don't have time for, it can result in tensions and conflicts and relationship tests as Venus squares Uranus on August 9th. We had Venus square Uranus before on July 2nd while Venus was direct. Now she's moving backwards and squaring Uranus again. What happened in your life in early July? Please let me know down below, and you can sort of see what might be coming back for another round. Do you journal, you guys? Do you write things down? Because sometimes I can't remember exactly what happened, but if I go to my journal, I will have a description of what it was. A beautiful moment for health, a beautiful moment for work, a beautiful moment to feel inspired is August 13th as Venus conjoins the Sun. We call it Venus Cazimi. So you may feel insightful, you may feel more aware, you may feel hopeful about your health, hopeful about your work, and sort of inspired to do the work that you love, I think. Like inspired to change your life for the better. And then we get a new moon in your 6th house on August 16th in a square to Uranus in the 3rd. So the new moon in the 6th suggests new beginnings at work, new beginnings in health. I think driven by that Venus Cazimi, by that desire to do better. And the square to Uranus can be a bit frustrating, right? The square to Uranus can suggest that you need to make radical changes. It can bring, maybe this new beginning comes out of a conflict, right? The square to Uranus could be a fight with a neighbor or an unpleasant, be careful of driving too fast. Be careful of like accidents around August 15th, 16th, because the Sun squares Uranus and it's like the house of health versus the house of commuting. So move slowly, be a sloth between those 2 days. So really like sort of new beginnings in health that come from stress, new beginnings that come from tension, that come from inner restlessness and frustration. For example, you've been wanting to write, but you haven't been doing it, and you get in a fight with your editor and they tell you we're gonna like fire you or something, and then you like really get on top of your project. Or you take a new job that requires a long commute, so it's disturbing to your everyday life, but it's a new opportunity. August 22nd has a bit of a muddy, confusing, challenging relationship energy, as Mars in the 7th house of relationships opposes Neptune in the 1st. Potentially because Neptune in the 1st is Neptune in your house. It's either you're feeling confused or you're feeling kind of uncertain in yourself, and that's affecting your dynamics. It's affecting your relationships. And then on August 27th, we have the Sun in the 7th house opposing Saturn in the 1st house, suggesting that you have to make tough decisions about your future, maybe some compromises, maybe some sacrifices connected to your goals, and look at things with more honesty, right? We have a full moon in Pisces, your sign, on August 30th, which suggests that as you examine your self-defeating tendencies, as you're examining your health and your skills and your gifts and like pursuing these new projects, you have to release something. You have to change something, right? Maybe change something in your everyday life, change something in your attitude, change something in your habits, like start working out every day, or stop drinking sugary drinks or something. There's nothing wrong with sugary drinks. Too many sugary drinks could be challenging. So yeah, like very much about being realistic about what you can achieve, because the full moon suggests full moon conjoins Saturn. So you have to be kind of thoughtful and self-aware at this time and find ways to improve yourself so that your relationships improve in the process. And if you'd like a personal horoscope, my lovely Pisces risings, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. There are also links down there, and receive monthly horoscopes sent to your email at the start of every month. They include personal transits. They describe how all of these energies and more affect you, give you great advice, if I say so myself, and offer suggestions for the month ahead. And this is it. August is, like I said, has a bit of a like chalk grinding on a desk, or just like teeth grinding energy. It's not going to be all difficult, but there's going to be some tense energies. But if we are aware, we are more prepared, and that's my purpose here, is to help you guys prepare. So I hope it's a good month. I hope you enjoy the final month of the summer, basically, and have a good time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.